Although I'm not a mind reader and can't necessarily tell you exactly why you can't stop spending money, I've spent the last 10 years digging deep in my own life to get to the root of it. Today, it's gonna get real, and we're gonna uncover 4 of the biggest common money problems I've struggled with. Hi, I'm Caitlin, recovering shopaholic turned financial coach, learning to see money God's way. I've still got a long way to go, so I hope you'll join me. If you're like me and have gone an embarrassingly long amount of time without getting your finances together, then this video is for you. Although my screw-ups and mistakes aren't my favorite things to talk about, I know they're a necessary part of growing and doing better. So let's start with the first common money problem I had to deal with. I didn't actually know how much I was spending or what I was spending on. Okay, so this one had me in denial for quite a long time. I'm the one swiping the card, hitting add to cart, and managing the day-to-day spending in our household. So of course I know how much I'm spending. Wrong. When I finally sat down for the first time and looked line by line at my statement, it was kind of mortifying. It was eye-opening to see what I was spending money on, and the worst part is I didn't even remember what a lot of it was. I didn't have anything to show for it. The average person spends $5,400 a year on impulse purchases. And based on the 2 months I looked at, I would have easily hit that. There's a really nice vacation there, or a car. And let's say I was intentional with this $5,400 a year and decided to invest it into retirement. I'm currently 33 years old. Let's say I'd like to retire by 60. If you divide $5,400 a year by 12 months, you get $450 a month. So I'll put $450 a month into the retirement account. And then let's be conservative and say the average rate of return is only 10%, even though it's historically more like 12. That equals $740,000 by the time I'm 60. Y'all, that is insane. I only invested $145,000 and it turned into $740. And to think I went most of my adult life without even thinking about retirement. Hello. And then if you decide to get really serious and throw another $100 a month at your retirement, in 27 years, it'll add $132,000 of growth to your retirement fund. If you gave up daily coffee for an average of $128 a month, $169,000 in 27 years. And then if you give up eating out for an average of $200 a month, $264,000 in 27 years. If you did all this, in addition to the $5,400 a year, you'd have over $1 million in 27 years. It blows my mind. So, back to the original point. Actually looking line by line, dollar by dollar at what I was spending helped me in a big way to recognize where the problems were. I hadn't determined my spending triggers. Honestly, when I started trying to fix my bad spending habits, I hadn't even really thought about it enough to recognize that I had spending triggers. But I think there are triggers for all of us, whether they're big or small. For me, determining them was kind of a long and difficult process, and they changed over the years, so I was always having to reevaluate and adapt, but it's been worth it every single time. I'm going to be completely open in sharing what a lot of mine were, and hopefully it'll help you to recognize some of your own. At one point, it was feelings of insecurity. I've always been a people pleaser and maybe a people impresser, so one way I tried to do that was through buying things. Then it was feelings of fear or anxiety. Buying stuff helped to temporarily provide relief from fear and anxiety, but ended up adding to it later on. The biggest one throughout this entire journey has been feeling out of control. When I feel like I'm not in control in other areas of my life, I start spending because it feels in the moment like it's the one thing I can control. You can likely gauge how I was feeling in life by looking at my bank account, which is actually pretty crazy. But as with anything in life, we have to have a level of self-awareness so we can learn to cope with feelings and struggles in a healthy way, rather than turning to the stuff that's just going to cause more damage. That's why I say I'm a shopaholic. I have to go about stopping irresponsible spending in much the same way an alcoholic has to go about stopping irresponsible drinking. Sure, the outcomes and consequences might look very different, but a lot of the thinking and feelings are the same. So determining the triggers is a very important part of getting better and learning how to cope in better ways. Second, I recognized that exercising, even just on my treadmill, and cleaning helped me to feel some peace. It's really cool how aligning your body and your behavior with your thoughts really can help everything feel in control again. I hadn't set boundaries to keep me in check. Some people don't need a lot of structure or boundaries, and some people do. I really wanted to be someone who could just decide to be disciplined and be disciplined, like my husband. But instead of wishing I was someone I'm not, I realized after quite a few years that it would be way more effective to set some boundaries to guide me along the way. First of all, I needed to feel the weight of my money decisions a little more. I went from sweet parents who really wanted to care for me in every way to a sweet husband who really wanted to care for me in every way. And even though I had a few years of living independently in there, my dad always wanted to give me a soft place to land. And so while I'm extremely thankful for that, I had to set something in place to make the weight of managing our household finances a bit heavier for me. I decided I would only allow myself access to a small amount of our monthly wages. Now, as a family, my husband and I very strongly believe that the money we have is God's first and that there is no his and hers, and that we should both be active parts in managing it. But it was still necessary for me to look at everything on a smaller scale so that I could be faithful with a little first before I trusted myself with a lot. The other aspect of this I think is important to mention is that I decided to do this myself. My husband's always given me the freedom to take this stuff to God, and so it's given me the ability to really take responsibility for my choices. So I know this takes a really high level of trust between my husband and God and my husband and me, but it's literally what's held us together through all of it. So, first boundary was only accessing a small and manageable amount of income. Second, I needed to set a savings goal and fight for that goal. I started small and have been trying to work my way up. And for those of you who are not natural savers, you know this is a really big deal. Right now, I'm going to work on setting some rewards in place for each savings goal met. Not big expensive purchases or anything, but just something to help with the momentum and keep me energized. If you have any ideas for what I should do, shoot me a comment and let me know. I hadn't determined my purpose to guide me. I saved the most important for last. Horst Schultz was referencing Proverbs 29 when he said, "Without purpose, people will perish," and I couldn't love this anymore. My entire life, I can pinpoint choices I made that weren't the right choice for me simply because I hadn't defined my purpose. Our purpose is determined by who we are and what our values are. If I'm a child of God, my purpose is to glorify Him with all I have. We had amazing pre-marriage counselors who had us come up with our own set of family values that can always point us back to God and who we are. And while they were awesome, I didn't do what I needed to do so that they became a part of who I am. I didn't allow them to guide my decisions, and especially when it came to money. In the Dream Big for Your Family video, I talk more in depth about creating your own set of family values if you're interested in doing it, and I'm looking forward to digging into that more with my kids over the next few weeks. I truly believe it can make something that might sound really big and overwhelming like purpose seem more tangible and attainable. I love Craig Rochelle's leadership podcast, and I'll reference it a lot, but something he talks about frequently is the importance of effectively communicating vision and values. If everyone in our family knows what our values are, then we can be confident about the decisions we make, and we'll know they're the right ones when they align with who we are. Think about this for your teenagers or for your young adult kids or even for yourself. Any decision you make can be made through the lens of your values. I mean, this is something I'm still working on right this second, so I encourage you, do whatever it is necessary to be filled with and confident in your purpose and in who you are. The last part of this, and I also talk about it in the Dream Big video, is to create a vision board or list or whatever it is you can refer to help guide you when you're making financial decisions. Beyond just dollar savings goals, I know it's been helpful for us as a couple and family to sit down and determine the direction in which we're headed. The material things we want someday are all centered around our callings and our gifts and the way we want to share them. It's a lot easier to say no to something I might want right this second when I know I'm only sacrificing it for something far more important to me later on. I guess it all ties together, but this point couldn't be more important for success in all areas of life. God loves you, and I believe God plus money can equal goodness and abundance in your life. I hope to see you right here on my channel again really soon.